Good morning, everyone. I'm more on time this week. Yay. So last week I made a whole bunch of single line Hershey's Nugget boxes and they look like this. And this week I made the double line box version. So like this. So now we can spell out words anywhere from 4 letters all the way up to 18 letters long. So I'm going to share with you all my tips and tricks for making these double line boxes. I'm going to share some words that you can use. But the best thing is going to be you're going to be able to make whatever words you want and spell them out on the box. And that's what the Alphabest bundle is really good at. So the Alphabest bundle is a stamp set and a punch combo. You can buy them separately, but I don't know why you would, because you want to use these together so that this little punch right here punches out a shape that matches the top of a Hershey's Nugget really, really well. So when you put these two together, you can spell out whatever you want. You can spell out a name, you can spell out an event. So it's a really cool little combo bundle. And as always, I hope everyone on my email list got my project sheet from last week, and I will have another project sheet for you this week, and this one has the double line box measures on it. I also put a table, this little chart that's on the second page. This is what you're going to need for all the different sizes of boxes. And I also put this on my blog because I realize I know some people aren't going to want to be on my email list, and that's fine. You don't have to be on my email list, but with my email list, you'll get that project sheet, which is a nice condensed version, but you can still grab that chart from my blog if you want. The link is down below in the description of the video, and it has all the measurements that you'll need to make the boxes. And if you need help with the making of the boxes, then just watch the video, or later on when this is no longer live, you can skip ahead to the part where I actually make the boxes so you can see the construction of the boxes. But if you want the project sheet, make sure you're on my email list. The link is down below in the description of the video. So just go ahead and click on that and get subscribed so that you can get this. I send out my project sheets on Saturday, and I pretty much do one every single week. So that's a lot of project sheets in 1 year. So it's kind of nice to be on there and get that weekly project sheet. What else can I tell you? Oh, if you like my videos, please give me a like or subscribe to my channel, or leave me a comment down below. I really appreciate it because that way more people can find my projects, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy when I see a comment or when I see thumbs up. It brightens my day. So thank you very much if you do that. All right. Are you ready to make some boxes? As always, I will answer any questions you have right at the end because I can get distracted by comments and I don't want to go off on side tangents. So I want to answer your questions. If you're watching this as a replay, leave them down below in the comments. As a live, I will read off my comments after I've taught you how to make the boxes, and then I will answer your questions live. All right, let me pop over to my boxes. Oh my gosh, I had so many decisions to make for these boxes, so maybe I should just really quickly go over some of the things that I used. So this was last week's box. This is a single line box, and these ones will have from last week. You can still get the instructions for that. They're boxes from 2 to 9 letters long. And then this week, I didn't do, of all the boxes, I did not do a 2x2 box because a lot of those words are better dealt with in a single line, and I couldn't really think of a good 2x2 greeting, but I left the box measurements there for you anyway because I knew as soon if I left that off, someone would ask me for it down the road. So I just put it in there, but I don't have a sample for you. So let's start off with this little box right here. And this one is made using the Perfectly pencil paper, and I'm going to use that on my sample today. And I did some embossing and some stamping on white on black. So you can make a very elegant box by doing that. And then this is a similar one for Happy New Year. And I'm going to make one today, and you'll see in a bit what I'm going to spell out for that occasion. But look at how cool those look, right? So those are two types of boxes. And then from last week, I used the 2022-2024 in colors, and they have been so popular, that paper. It is now not available to order for another couple weeks. It will be back to order, but this week I actually wanted to use different colors, and thankfully I did, because these boxes here are made with the Brights collection. And so the Brights has more colors. It has 10 colors in it. Sorry, 8 colors? 8. Let me count. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. 10 colors. 10 colors in it. Sorry, I'm like drawing a blank. Is it 8 or 10? It's 10 colors. And so all the different colors are in, that I used are in the paper. And it's nice to have like a kind of a rainbow color like I did with this one. You can do like a rainbow. And for this one, I used the Starlit punch and some silver foil paper and just a little rhinestone jewel on top. So that's one way you can decorate the boxes. If you have extra letters that you're not using, you can make them be kind of generic blocks. Or you can add, if you're just missing one block, you might be able to add an exclamation mark, or just put 1 on the end. Like you might need to shift 1 depending on how big your words are. Okay, so we have that one. And then this one, I used, I did kind of a red and green combo. And this one is from the little pillow box dies, but you can use whatever little flower you want to kind of make a little poinsettia look. So you can do different things with those extra blocks. I just wanted to kind of point that out. Oh, this one. Do you like this one? Happy 4th. So I emulated a flag. So you know how we have on the American flag, how there's the little blue corner with the stars. So I kind of emulated a little bit by putting 2 blue blocks. And I used, you can probably see in the background, this is the lined paper, and I had to make sure I had the lines going the correct direction. So you can do kind of like a Happy 4th, and you can see on here I used the lined background for Happy 4th. And then these stars are from the Starlit punch as well. So you can kind of make a flag. So that's kind of neat. And these two are just kind of very plain in essence, but I used a different color for each word. So for You Are My Sunshine, I kind of used kind of bright summery colors, Melon Mambo, Mango Melody, Flirty Flamingo, and Daffodil Delight. And here I used Bermuda Bay and Gorgeous Grape. So you can do different color combinations for each word and just have fun spelling out your favorite word. All right, let's make a box. I'm going to need my Simply Score, and I'm going to need a piece of cardstock. We are going to make a 2x4 box or a 4x2 box. So let's have a look at our little chart. Up top here, this is, I call this, I guess, a 4x2. So I'm going to need a piece of thick basic white that is 6 3/8 by 5 1/4. And we're going to score it at 5/8 and 1 1/4. All right, let me get my scoring tool. And when you score, you're going to score on all 4 sides. So 5/8 and 1 1/4. Doesn't matter which side you score first. 5/8, 1 1/4, 5/8, 1 1/4, 5/8, and 1 1/4. Okay, so let's set this aside, and why don't we go ahead and do the lid while I'm here. So for this, you're just gonna kind of come along the 4x2 box, and you're gonna go over to the lid measurements. And so I'm gonna need 4 7/8 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so our window sheet is wonderful. It is nice and thick, and it's going to make your boxes really solid. So I'm going to use the small ball on my stylus tool. There's a bigger ball and a smaller ball. I'm going to use the smaller ball, and I'm going to go back and forth a few times just to really press that line down. Our window sheet is thick, so it's a little harder to score, but it's going to give you a better box than if you use flimsier window sheet. Okay, so you know, sometimes it's what the quality of the products that you put into your final presentation. It does make a difference. Okay, so you might not be able to see that too well. Here, I want to show you. I did this out of vellum, so you could kind of see what we were going for. That's what it looks like when it's scored. Okay, so let's pop that away for a second, and we're going to do some cutting on here. I'm going to be cutting into the long side of the box, and I got my paper snips. And the way I do this is I cut up along the score line to the second score intersection. Okay, and then I do that again. So I'm cutting up both of these to the second score intersection. Then I turn and I just cut in one block. So I have that. And then I cut this away. So the easiest way I can tell you is if you get confused by this, I just say you need to have the 3 outer squares on each corner cut away. So if you draw little X's, that way until you get the hang of it, you'll know. And then this one is already kind of created a little tab right here. Okay, and I have a little diagram on my project sheet that shows you what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so then we'll come over here, we'll do the next one. Actually, let's do both on the long side first. Okay, so we're going to cut up to the second score intersection like that. And then on here, when we turn, we'll just cut 1 in. And then right here, we're going to cut 1 in. Okay, go to the other long side, cut to the second, cut to the second. Then we're just going to go in 1, and then we're going to go in 1. Okay, so we always have these little tabs right here. And then we're going to do this one more time. One more time. Cut in 1 and cut in 1. All right, and then you can angle cut these little tabs. So you can do this and angle cut. If you want to make sure it really fits well, you don't have to do this. You can also angle cut into the inside here if you want. I found most of the time, just by angle cutting that outer tab, that I'm good. but you can also do the inner one, and that helps it just give it a little bit more space to come in between. But usually just like this, the outer and the outer is good. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of all these little tiny pieces so that they're out of my way. And then I'm going to come in with my bone folder. So I just fold this. I'm doing the inner lines first. And then I'm going to do the outer lines. Sometimes it helps just to get them a little started because the outer lines have less cardstock. Okay. Let's do this one. All right. So because I cut into the long sides, I can glue down these two short sides to start off with. So I'm just going to put Tombow on here and Tombow on here. These are the two short sides. I'm going to flip that over, use my bone folder to smooth down. A bone folder is a really handy tool. I know it's kind of a boring tool to have, but it's really good to have when you're folding boxes together. It can really give you strength to push down. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how I use this corner tip to smooth in these little boxes, box corners here. Okay, so now I want to glue down this side, one of the long sides. We'll do the long sides one at a time. We're going to bring in these two little guys, and these little tabs get tucked in. So I'm just going to flip, kind of wiggle it until it comes in. And I want to make sure that I have nice corners, okay, that the glue is really tucked in there, the tabs tucked in there, press down. And then here is where, when you're on a surface, you can really press down into the corner, smooth it out, and that glue will press down and make a really nice solid side. This is very hard to do with your finger because most people don't have pointed fingers like this. All right, then we'll do this last side. And we'll bring this up, tuck those tabs in, wiggle it into place. You know, after making so many boxes, I've gotten really, really good at it. So if you want to get good at making boxes, make more than one, because every time you make one, you're going to find that you're going to improve. All right. Isn't that like a beautiful box base? Look at the construction on the sides. It's pretty nicely put together. Okay. So now we're going to wrap some nuggets, and this box is a 4x2 or a 2x4, so we're going to need 8 nuggets. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I am almost out of nuggets. I had to buy so many nuggets this week because I didn't want to destroy my other boxes to make the new boxes for samples, so I had to get a whole bunch of them. Okay. So you don't know what we're going to be making yet, but I have to tell you a funny story. Well, it's not that funny, but so I had this piece of paper sitting on my trimmer, and it got stuck underneath another one as I was pulling over another piece, and it got cut kind of on an angle. And I'm like, shoot, I just need one more piece of this, and I didn't want to cut into the bigger section. So I taped it back together, and I'm going to use it for the nugget because it's going to have a punched shape on top, so you're really not going to notice it. I had to show you. This is one of those accidents that just, it was weird. It happened. So for these nuggets, you're going to need 1 inch by 3 inch strips. And since there are 8 nuggets, I'm going to be making, I need 8 of them. I should have pre-wrapped some of these. So I'm just going to curl them a bit just to help them wrap around the nugget. Do that with all of them. It's kind of easier. Oops, this is the pattern I want up. The pattern I want up, you want to put the bone folder underneath. It's easier if you're doing a bunch of these. It's easiest if you prep a whole bunch of strips all at the same time. So now I'm going to take this and fold over about 1/2 inch. I found 1/2 inch works a little bit better than, I think I said 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, about 1/2 inch. I just fold over a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it somewhat straight because it wraps more, it wraps nicely. Okay. So if I were making these to sell, I probably would have used a new piece, but since this is a sample, and I'm not going to be giving it to anyone, so that's why I'm using. If I want to be really professional, I wouldn't do that, but I'm just showing you a shortcut that I did. All right, I'm going to use Seal Plus, and this is the end I folded, and I'm going to put Seal Plus on the opposite end. And since I'm doing a whole bunch of these all in a row, I'm going to glue all of them or put Tombow. Not Tombow. That's usually my most used adhesive, so I say Tombow a lot. Seal Plus on the opposite end. And if I do this all at once, then it saves me a little time with, you know, having to stop. It's like an assembly line. Assembly lines work a little faster. You just don't want to have too many of these lying around because otherwise they're going to get stuck to you and other things. So, you know, I kind of do one box at a time. So I take this, for some reason, I always put like the top flap facing down, and that goes tucked under here. And then I'm going to put this adhesive on there, and I can tuck it into my box already. I think that's the right spot. Oh, I don't know if I got enough adhesive on this one. Okay. All right. Okay. You might not have noticed if I hadn't told you that I taped one of the strips back together. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's the exact size I need. What are the chances that like a little piece of paper got stuck under a bigger one and just cut it accidentally? That doesn't happen very often. Okay. So now I'm going to grab these ones. And I wanted to show you today how I do the embossing. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Okay. All right. It's really fun to work with really colorful paper when you're doing these boxes, but sometimes you want just like a really elegant box. And so this black and white paper is really, really pretty. All right, I am ready to do some stamping. So what I found is if I use a piece of basic white cardstock that is 5/8 of an inch wide, that is the best way for me to get these stamped. So I'm going to use, oh shoot, you know what I did want to use? I think I want to use a little frame, and I didn't pop that up there. I think I'm going to use this little frame. And I mentioned this on my video from last week. It's really, really helpful to have several A blocks with this particular stamp set, because if you're spelling out words and if you're doing a bunch of these boxes, you don't want to be pulling these things on and off the blocks. It's easier, far easier, if you have a bunch of A blocks. I have 10 A blocks, and that seems to work pretty well. You don't need to get 10 A blocks though. I mean, you have to decide how many you need. But I sometimes, when I have little tiny stamps and a bunch of them are coming together to make something, I always kind of want to have more. So I'm going to stamp my letters. So I've got an A here. I've got an R. I've got a D. And I've got a G. And I'm keeping these somewhat apart. And then I'm going to take my frame. I like to stamp the letter first, and then gently, don't smush this too hard because it's got lines. And that goes for the alphabet too. Be kind of gentle when you're stamping down. You don't want to press too hard, otherwise you're going to distort the image. Photopolymer is a little bit malleable, so you can distort images if you stamp down too hard. The A block is nice because it makes you not have too much pressure. Okay, so we're going to close this up. Oh, shoot. I knew I was going to do that. Let me get a little tissue. I keep rubbing alcohol, the 91% alcohol on my desk. It kind of helps clean up some stuff, and it dries quickly. So I use it a lot for cleanup. Strange things that I keep on my stamping desk. All right, we're going to come in with this punch. You can probably tell by now what I'm trying to spell out. And I just wanted to do this one because I wanted to show that this is not just an alphabet one. It is really easy to punch out when you have a frame around your letters. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to put this up here. So we got grad. You probably can tell where this is heading. Okay, so we've got numbers now, and I'm going to do embossing. So I've got a piece of basic black here. Also, it's 5/8 of an inch. When you're embossing, it's hard to do a frame around the letter. I found that out as I was creating them. So you might be able to do a frame, but you'd probably have to do it in a two-part process. Do the letter first and then emboss the frame, like do them separately. These are fairly large. They're a little larger than, these are numbers. They're a little larger than the letters. So I don't think they really need a frame around them. So, but they looked really nice embossed. So let's take some Versamark, and I'm going to grab my embossing buddy. And this little embossing buddy is actually going to be coming back in a bundle in the holiday catalog next month with some other tools. So I'm going to use it today. It's not available individually right now, but it will be available as part of a kit next month. So I'm going to, the embossing buddy, it just, in case of any of you are wondering, the embossing buddy just takes away, like, you know, we've got some oils on our fingers and stuff, and embossing powder will stick to those oils too. So it just kind of clears the area, so embossing powder doesn't stick to those things that it shouldn't stick to. So we're going to put a 2. And we're going to do, I'm trying to space these out enough so the punch will fit. Another 2. And another 2. And an O. And I had to make sure I grabbed the correct O. The O, this is a 0, not an O. I know sometimes when we say, oh, we really mean 0, so I want to clarify. I want to make sure it's the 0, not the letter O, because there's different ones. There's a letter O and there's a 0. Okay, so I've dumped my white embossing powder into this little container, and now I'm just going to do the letters, not letters, numbers, one at a time. And the 0. Okay. So if you see a little fleck that you don't want, you can kind of move it off with your finger. It's probably better to move it off if you have a little tiny brush. But, okay, let's grab our heat tool. I'm going to emboss these guys. So with white embossing powder, you can tell it's embossed once the powder turns a brighter shade of white. You can see the O is embossed and the 2s aren't yet. Want to make sure that all of it is embossed. Oop, I blew some of my little letters away. Need to retrieve them. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to punch these out. I'm just centering them. So I know it's kind of late in the year to do 2022. I know a lot of graduations have already taken place. Maybe there's still some to go. But the cool thing about this is, you know, you can change it for the year. So you can, next year you can do the other year. And sometimes we even have fall college graduations. So, you know, keep this in mind as a project. I remember when I graduated from high school, we always said grad in the year. So I thought, I hope that still applies. I hope that's still a thing. Okay. So then I'm going to take a sheet of dimensionals, and let's pop these over, and then I'll just add 1 dimensional to the back. I've got embossing powder on my surface a little bit. It's hard not to do that, and it feels gritty. I hate that feeling. I don't know if any of you are like that too. Are any of you sand phobic? I'm just not a big sand person. I love the beach. I love walking along it, but I hate the grit of sand. I struggle sometimes with summer. I love summer, but I don't love the sand to go to the beach. Okay. Let's see. Just popping these on here. When I add them, I kind of grab them from the top and the bottom, and I kind of see, usually the paper, there's just a little bit paper on the top and the bottom, so it makes it pretty easy to kind of center it on here. Okay, and then we'll grab these ones. And grab some more dimensionals. Pop these on here. The dimensionals just make the little letters pop a little bit more. They give a little bit of height, and it makes it pretty easy to get on there pretty quickly and straight. I know I use Tombow for a lot of things, but I really recommend dimensionals for the tops of these. It just, I found that it makes it pretty easy. Also, I can usually, if I make a mistake, I can usually peel them off quickly. The nice thing is, if you spell it out in the wrong order, you just move the nugget. You don't have to peel off the little letter. Okay. Oh, does not look good. Does not look good. I love it. Okay, I'm glad I made one of these. I was debating what sample to do today. Last week I did this beautiful colorful sample, and this week it's all black and white. I was wondering how that would show up, but I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so now we need to prep our little window sheet lid. And remember, this is what it's supposed to look like when we're done. And I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to cut away the corner squares of that window sheet that I scored earlier. I want to get rid of the corners. I'll just kind of pull that. It's probably better to cut it than to pull it. Sometimes I get a little lazy or impatient. If there's just a little bit hanging on, it's easy to pull, but if you have to tug too hard, maybe cut a little further. And last week, I told everyone if your thing is having trouble, if your window sheet is having trouble fitting in, you can angle cut these just a little bit. So I'm going to show the vellum right here, but you can angle cut it a little bit. So it's not quite straight. It's on a little bit of an angle. And sometimes that will help it fit in a little bit better. Okay, so I'm not going to angle cut mine. We'll see how well that does. I like to take a metal ruler. This is a Westcott ruler. I'll leave the, I'm going to put this down below in my supply list of my video afterwards so you can grab it if you're right on YouTube. And what I like to do, usually I do it this way, but I'm just going to line it up with my corners, and I'm going to start just by pressing this a little bit along the ruler. It's a little easier to manipulate it when you're folding it over an edge than if you're just folding it with your fingers. Okay, so I like to get a little start going, and I just line it up with the edge, those corners right there, and then I just press over top. And believe me, the first time you do this, it's going to be a little awkward, but do a few and you're going to get really good at it. So if you're making these for like an event or craft fairs or something like that, it does get easier. And then I come in with my bone folder once I've already kind of got a start on that fold. And I'll just come in and just kind of fold it over. This window sheet is really nice and sturdy. Okay, so then I just kind of bend it back so it's like at a 90-degree angle, so you know it's already kind of into the lid shape. And then let's kind of tuck this in to the box. Might need to wiggle it a little bit. You want it to be a snug fit though, because it looks better if it's a snug fit. Okay, so I'm having just a little issue with this corner here. So I'm going to angle cut just a little wedge off of that corner. And I think when I do that, yes, there we go. No more problem getting it to sit down into that corner there. All right, so this has a really nice, this box, the double line box, has a really nice break in the middle. Before, when I was doing these ones, I kind of had to kind of come down in the middle of the word, and that looks nice too. It doesn't really matter, but this one has a natural break right in the middle, so that's where I'm going to put my ribbon. And this time I decided to use the white crinkled seam binding without coloring it, but you can absolutely color it. And if you color it, use Stampin' Blends, because Stampin' Blends are alcohol markers, and that color is going to stay on there. It's not going to come off. So I just kind of measure, and I'm going to come in here. Oh, and that embossing package that I told you with the Embossing Buddy, it's also going to have tweezers. But right now I'm going to use my non-Stampin' Up! Tweezers because they're not available yet. And these are right here in my tool caddy. So we'll just cut off a little bit of that ribbon. And we're going to come through and make a little knot while my tweezers hold everything down. Let's release the tweezers now. Okay, doesn't that look pretty? I do have my scissors, my ribbon cutting scissors here. And I'll just angle cut those ends. Let's put some stuff away. All right, doesn't that look pretty? And you know what, you could do this in the school's colors too. You don't have to do it in black and white, but black and white is, you know, kind of formal and traditional for graduations. So it does look really, really nice. And that black and white paper, of course, I made it, I used it for the Mr. and Mrs. And I also used it for the Happy New Year. Okay, and this paper is in the annual catalog, so it will be available into 2023. And you notice on like on the bottoms of these, this is like a floral pattern, but the floral pattern is covered up a lot, so it just looks like a black and white pattern. So even though you might look at the paper and think, oh, that's too floral for like something formal, once you've covered it up with the numbers, it looks great. But it's nice to have the black and white pattern in the back. It adds a little interest to the backdrop of these. So you can see how I made those in the black and white patterns. And then if we go over and we look at our other ones again, you know, these ones were made with the Brights Designer Series paper. And look how gorgeous this is. And, you know, the Merry Christmas one, I know some of you will want to make Merry Christmas. And there's not too many sheets of red and green in the Brights because there's, 4 sheets of every color. So that's not going to give you, if you're wanting to make a bunch of these. But what I would suggest, we are about to come out with our holiday catalog next month. And you can pick whatever Christmas paper you want, and then, you know, you can create your own pattern design if you're going to do like a Merry Christmas. You can see how nice this looks though when you do it kind of in a two-tone, but you could do Merry in one color, Christmas in another color, these outer ones in yet another one, or a different pattern. So you have a lot of options with that. But the paper itself, you can do these very colorful boxes, and you know, I could have done any one of these in like a rainbow effect. So that will give you a lot of options for the different papers. So I wonder, you should tell me, which of these boxes do you like the best? I don't know. Which one do you think you're going to make? Um, I haven't gotten them all on the screen. Let me see if I can get them all on here. Which one do you think you'd make? There's so many of them. So anyway, there they all are. And I have last week's are all in my box over here. Just so many of them. I've got my other ones, all the ones that I made last week too. I've created quite the collection, haven't I? Wow. All right. I tell you, I was busy yesterday. There were, of all the Hershey's Nuggets, there were, I think I used around 80 Hershey's Nuggets yesterday. It doesn't look like that many, but when you think the Merry Christmas box takes up 18 just on its own, you can kind of do the math and realize that it takes up a lot of nugget wrapping and decisions on how to bring them together. And I hope what I've given you is ideas for how you can bring yours together, because I know you're going to want to use your own words, but I wanted you to see how you could bring it together with a black and white design, how you could bring it together if you had lots of different colors, and just different ways and different combinations, so that you don't spend a ton of time having to try and figure that out. Use my boxes as a blueprint. Look at the box and see how you can bring all of those together. So I wanted to mention that I have a host code this month, and if you order from me, all the supplies that I use today are listed down below in the description of the video or over on my blog. If you order at least $15 with me, you'll get one of my free with purchase tutorials. And if you order $50 or more, I did actually cut up my paper. Aha! Yes, it is. It's here. This is the paper. And I've cut it up into 6x6 packets. It's really pretty paper. I'm going to take it out. This is my reward for an order of $50 or more. This will be for June. Here are just some of the beautiful patterns. They have a nice kind of same color palette, so you can use all of these papers really nicely together. There's 48 sheets, and that will be my reward. And you have to order $50 before shipping and tax for that to kick in. And please use my host code, because that is how I earn the rewards that I give to you, so that I can afford to give away gifts every month. So please use the host code, and that would be very, very much appreciated. So what else can I tell you? Let's go and look at comments. That's what I wanna see if any of you are planning on making the boxes. Good morning, Bear Blue. You're here from sunny Tennessee. And Alita's here from Puerto Rico. Hello, and I cannot even spike us. Hello. Hello, Birgit. Hello, Pat. And Carol from Quebec. And thank you for sharing, Carol. I appreciate it. Good morning, Karen from New Jersey. And Nancy, and she says, you were awesome. Thank you, Nancy. You're so sweet. How do you clean the acetate from fingerprints? So I think what I would use, honestly, I wouldn't use any product. I would use the same thing I use for my my cleaning my glasses, like a microfiber cloth. I think that would be the best thing, because you don't want to etch it with anything, and these are like really soft, so you probably have a microfiber cloth. Some of us might be wearing reading glasses, or you might have one for your computer. You probably have one of these kicking around somewhere, so that's what I would use to clean off if you're worried about fingerprints. The other thing that you can do, and I have done this before, is you can wear gloves when you're handling it so it doesn't get your fingerprints on it, because you're right, it does. I have a pair of gloves. These ones I picked up for when I did painting when we lived in Tennessee. I pretty much painted the whole entire house, not the outside, but the inside. And I wore gloves, so I have a little box of gloves that I still have, and so I will use these if I'm if I were making a bunch of them, like for a craft fair or for an event or something like that. I would save time by not having to clean the acetate. I would just wear gloves. And the nice thing about these actually is they're very grippy. So they do like when you're bending them and stuff, I think they might actually help you with the whole process. That's a good question. Good morning, Marty from Pittsburgh. Marty says she hates sand too. Oh, well, that's good. Another person. You know, I can handle it when the sand is wet, and it's not like a dry and getting into like everything, like if walking on wet sand. But we went to a trail. It was right by the ocean. I think this is like the worst trail I've ever tried to hike, because by the ocean, I didn't realize this, but the trails are very sandy. And every step I was sinking into the sand. It was just a miserable hike. I don't think I will do that again. If I hike, I'm going to go hike, or if I want to walk along a beach, I'll walk along the edge of the water where the sand is packed down. I don't mind that so much. It's just like when it gets into everything, I'm just so fussy. I know some of you walk out in the sand and it doesn't bother you, but shoot, it bothers me. All right, Kathleen. She's so excited for the double letter boxes. These are going to make the best gifts. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad that you like them. Stephanie says she likes them all. Aileen says they're so cute. Katrina says they're totally adorable. I want to make them all. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Marty says she'll start with a smaller one. That is a good idea. Make a smaller one and see how you like making them. But don't judge it just by the first one. I think if you ever have difficulties, it's good to make more than one. But a smaller one is a really good idea because it uses up less cardstock and you can just kind of get a feel for it. That's a really good suggestion. And Marty says the black and white is so elegant, but the bright colors make me happy. Me too. I like those bright colors. Ruthie says these are awesome. Can't wait to make them all. Oh, yay. Stephanie says, my problem is that I might have to make a box and then eat a box. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you wrap your nuggets up, because I don't know if you're like me, but once they're like wrapped up in paper, I am not going to open that up. And then you put them in the box and you tie that ribbon right around the box. And once you tie it around the box, you are not going to want to eat it. So get the nuggets wrapped, because then you'll be like, oh, that was so much work. Not that it was too much work, but you know what I mean. It's work, so you don't want to have to undo and redo your work. So, or prep everything, get all your boxes and stuff ready, and then go out and buy your nuggets. But one little suggestion that I will suggest to all of you, if you're making a bunch of these, make sure you make one first and make sure you have the right measurements. In the past, I've had people email me and say, they measured wrong, but they thought my measurements were wrong. Sometimes I do get measurements wrong. That is true. But sometimes in our heads, we think we're cutting a certain measurement. So don't go ahead and cut 100 boxes before you test out to make sure that the first box works and that the nuggets fit in there like they should, right? Because you can always make adjustments or double check your measurements. like they said, cut once, double check twice, and cut once, right? Because you don't want to make a mistake like that. Pat said, do you remember how many bags you had to buy to get 80? That's a really good question. And I'm going to tell you a little tip that I learned from my friend Randy. And I never even ever thought of this. But whenever I learn a tip, I want to share it with you. So what you're going to do, and I'll tell you, there are in this family size backpack that I've cut the top off of. Here's the top. It looks something like this. I'm not sure if this is the correct top. This is what this size looks like. You can get them also in a bigger size. I went online and I looked. Right now, the bigger sizes seem to be multi-packs with different colors of nuggets in them. So just be aware. It seems like I can only find the smaller size with like all silver nuggets. Okay, so that's step one. And then you're going to flip to the back of here, okay? And you're going to look at serving size is 3 pieces, and there's about 9 servings per container. So you're going to just times 9 by 3, and you get 27. So you get about 27 nuggets in one of these, okay? So you're going to need, I needed a little more than 3 bags, and luckily I still had some extra from last week, so I had to buy 3 bags of nuggets to make them. So here's my suggestion to you. If you are making these for favors, you're going to want to try and find phrases that are shorter. Like if you're going to hand out a bunch of these and you're budget conscious, look at smaller words. If you want to make Merry Christmas, you're going to need like 2/3 of one of those bags to make Merry Christmas. So that would be something that I would give as a gift. So like a host gift, you're going over to someone's house, you give them the Merry Christmas because it's a large box. It is actually like a box of chocolates, and it looks really pretty, but it's going to cost you more to make them. So that's why I like grad 2022. It's not graduation. It's not congrats, although congrats I think would be about the same letters if you did the single line box and did congrats. I'm just counting in my head. So you could do congrats, but I think a lot of times for graduation we like to spell out the year, right? Or do you spell out a year? Or you put down the year. So this would be a good box to do for like a smaller box. If you're going to do a bunch of these, this takes up 8. So that's still, quite a few nuggets. Or what you could do, if you're going to even be more, you could do a 4-letter box, a single line box like this one. So if you're doing graduation, just do 2022 in a box like this, right? And that would be a smaller version. So just think about your budget and how many you need to make. And so those smaller bags have about 27, but most candy has that serving thing on there. So if you want to know how many Hershey's nuggets are in a bag, do the same thing, serving size times number of servings, and you can always figure out approximately how many are in a bag so that you can do the math. Isn't that brilliant? I never knew that until someone pointed it out. And now it's one of those little trivia things that stick in my head. I'll always know that. Okay, on to the next one. For blue, all your boxes are beautiful. It would be brave to attempt to make one of these for whatever occasion. I'm going to try. I hope you try. They are not hard. I hope I didn't make them look hard. And you have the video to like walk back on. And the other thing is, if I'm ever going too quickly, you can go into YouTube, make sure you're on the YouTube platform, and you can go into the systems tool. Like there's a little kind of little button that you can open up, and you can slow me down. You can like make me at 75% speed, and that slows me down. And then you can actually watch me doing something slower. I have used that for when I'm learning how to crochet, maybe a different stitch or a pattern. Sometimes they work a little too fast for me, even though they do go really slowly, a lot of these people that show how to crochet, but sometimes it's still not slow enough, so I slow them down in the speed area, and it just works really brilliantly. Kathleen said you can do high school reunion like 1969 or 2022. Yes, I love that idea. Yes, yes, yes. And you could do, if you do the single line boxes, that will be a lot more economical if you were making a lot of them, rather than doing grad 2022. But it's whatever you want to do. Some people have a bigger budget, right? So you want to do more letters, you want to use more nuggets, then make your words bigger. It's pretty easy. Also, the other thing is, if you really do want to make something bigger, you can always add, like make the box a bigger size and add extra, like have little images or whatever on the ends. They don't always have to spell out words, like I did with with the best wishes here. Some of these letters, best is only 4 letters long, so I had to kind of make filler words or filler ones with little stars. Okay. Pretty Petal said loved all the boxes. We'll be making the 4th and the Christmas one. Oh, that's awesome. Karen says they're awesome. Hi, Ellie. I'm glad you're here, even though you're late. And you know what? Sometimes you just, you might have an appointment or something, and you can watch the replay. That's right, you can. All right. Carol says, if I'm already a subscriber, will the PDF get sent to me by email? Yes, it will, Carol. I don't just send out one PDF. So I know some people have a thing where when you subscribe with them, you get a free PDF. My PDFs are ongoing because I figure you probably don't want to just get one PDF from me. You want to get ongoing PDFs from me. And if you subscribe in that very first welcome email that you get from me, hang on to that, because that has the link to my back project sheets, so that you can go in. And I've been doing this now, I want to say I've been doing it for 3 years almost, maybe 2.5 years, because I started it in fall. So probably about 2.5 years. So I have about 2.5 years worth of project sheets. So you might not want to download them all, but you might come across an older project of mine that you want to do. And then you have that link to all the other back project sheets. Okay. Good morning, Cindy from Everett. Stephanie likes the practical advice. Well, thank you. And Pat says, thank you so very much for your help and great talents in 3D projects and making cards. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm so glad that you liked today's video. And the project sheet will be coming out tomorrow. Next week, I will be back on Tuesday with Casing Tuesday. And on Friday, I will be back on YouTube. I think we're going to I was going to do a 3-line boxes, but as I was doing the 2-line boxes, I realized that 3-line boxes are going to be like kind of more of a rare thing. So I might do that in the future, and maybe I won't make quite as many samples, because you know how many Hershey's Nuggets I would need to create samples for so many different sizes. Be a little crazy. So I'm going to take a little break from the nugget boxes. Let me know if you're dying to have the 3-line boxes right away, and I'll move it up in the schedule. But I figured with 2-line boxes, we're good for a while. You can spell out things up to 18 letters long. So we'll take a little break and I'll come back to it at some point and I'll make I'll do up a project sheet that has things for 3-line because we can definitely do 3-line. You know, I was thinking the other day, you know, like Wheel of Fortune, like they have, you know, those bigger phrases, and I thought, yeah, that kind of you could kind of make like a Wheel of Fortune looking sort of box, right, with the words that you wanted to spell out. So I thought that would be kind of a fun little thing, but. Anyway, I will eventually do the 3-line boxes so we can spell out like longer things. I posted over on my Bee Stamping with QB Facebook group I for phrases that people might want, and some people gave me phrases, really good phrases, but they were longer than 9 letters, like Thanksgiving is too long. It won't fit on the box. So, what we would do with Thanksgiving is probably break it up into like 3, like Happy Thanksgiving. So some of those words are like really, really long. So we can't fit them on 9, like with the 9 letters. So we will need some 3-line boxes for some things. So. Um, okay, Stephanie said, what if you lost the first welcome email? Well, Stephanie, you're out of luck. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're not out of luck. Please send me a message through my contact form and I will resend you that link. You're not out of luck. I have a weird sense of humor sometimes. So yeah, please just contact me and I will get that to you. As long as you're an email list subscriber, I will send you that link again. Marty says, do it for New Year's. Happy New Year. So what did I do? I did this one. I did Happy New Year on here, but you could do it as a 3-line as well, right? So a lot of the 2-line boxes could also be 3-line boxes and they'd be shorter. So it just depends on how you want to configure them. So that's kind of part of the creative process. How do you want to configure your box to make it look, you know, how you want it to look? A pretty petal said, don't forget to give thumbs up. Thank you. Yes, please. Thumbs up would be awesome. Adina says she loves these, and I've sold her on the set. Well, that's great because I think this is such a useful alphabet bundle. I don't think we've ever before had an alphabet paired with a specific punch. Maybe we have. I just don't remember that. We've had die alphabets, and those have been great. But there's nothing like stamping, punching. I don't know if it's any faster. I feel like it's faster. Well, I feel like maybe you don't have to like stand or be there with your die cutting machine. So I really like punches, especially for craft fairs and stuff like that. I really like the speed of them, and I think you will be able to get faster with them. I love doing 5/8 inch wide strips. I think that really helps with the punching process. So I know I digress, but it is a great bundle. All right, Cindy says, thank you. Stephanie says, I'm thinking that we might send her granddaughter a 2-line box. Ah, that's great. Carol says, that's a lot of nuggets. Yeah, it is a lot of nuggets. It was a little crazy, but I know a lot of you are creating things for craft fairs and you're selling them, or you're creating them for events, like whether it's like a local family event. I know I have some people using my projects for like fundraisers or like corporate events and things like that. So you know, they have a budget for these things, and yes, it is a lot of nuggets, but I want to show you how many things that you can do with all of these, with all the different words, all the different types of paper you can use. It really has a lot of potential. So that's why I'm very, very excited about these projects, and I hope you like them too. All right, guys, I will see you next week. I hope you have a great weekend, and watch for my project sheet in your inbox tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.